Alright, so in this video what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to insert your title block into layout space and then set it all up so you can view it properly. So what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to kind of create a circle here and put it into the drawing. So I'll just make it a diameter of 5. Perfect, it should fit it 1:1 on an 8.5 by 11 sheet. So with your model done, and let's put some, maybe make it a really messed up smiley face. Won't take the time to do anything perfect on it. There we go. Yay! So what we're going to do is we're going to take this smiley face and we're going to put it into our title block. Now this is based on a question that somebody asked, so if this is not your thing and you don't care, that's fine. This is really in particular to the CAD 117 class. So first things first is I'm going to insert a block. This block is going to be your title block. I'm going to double click on it, and I'm not going to tell it to explode it when it goes into the drawing. Eventually, yes, we will need to explode it. This block is not attributed, so but I'm going to do specify on screen. Now, my block is set up pretty well, so it's going to come in okay. Sometimes when you guys insert your blocks, you may not see it. So maybe it's off over here, and it's because your insertion point's a little off. We could fix that later, but let's say you just want to kind of move on with your stuff. So we're looking here now. Also, let me just turn something on real quick, as I usually have it off. This is what freaks a lot of people out, is you'll see something like this, and your title block will be over here, or you'll be like, where's my title block? Once you insert it, and then Z, enter, E, enter, you can usually see your title block off over here. Now, from here, all we need to do is kind of change where these grips are going to. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of re-grip edit it. Now, I could move the title block over there. To be honest, it's not a big deal if it's not over there. Just making sure that your viewport here is lined up into here. Now, when you double click inside of here, you can hit Z, enter, E, enter, and it'll center your smiley face and or drawing, and you can set it to 1:1 right down over here. And that's really what you're looking to do once we have this part here. Now, again, you don't need to worry that this is over here. When we set this thing up to print correctly, it'll all fix itself. Now, let's say, for instance, you have your viewport over here, and you put it in here, and then you want to get this to print correctly. So there's a few different ways to do it. First, what I like to do always is I always go to page setup. I try to get in the habit of doing this instead of just skipping over to plot. So you're going to go to page setup, and then you're going to modify layout 1, which is which one it is. And I'm going to set this to DWG to PDF. And plot style is monochrome. 8.5 by 11 is the sheet of paper. I'm going to set it to extents, center the plot. And I'm not going to fit to paper because I want this to be to scale. And then I'll do a quick preview. Now, the preview is not looking too hot here, for at least me. It looks like it's getting cut off a little bit there. So let's take a look at what's going on. The other way to print is we can do a window. So I can hit window again. Sometimes it takes 2. And I can window from the end point here to the end point here. Now we'll do a preview. Still getting cut off. Let's undo the center plot here. When you undo that, sometimes these numbers don't reset to 0, 0. So what I like to do is just reset them, and that's not it either. Let's take a look. So I'm going to hit OK, and you'll see it kind of squeezes it in. You can kind of see the printer margins here. So let's take a look at what's going on. So sometimes this may happen, and this happens at the college sometimes, depending on what printer you're using. So these are the margins. So if you can see, it's adding a much wider top margin and bottom margin here. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to type in DI, and I'm going to check my paper size. So again, not everything always works perfect. Depending on where you're at, you may have additional issues, but this looks like it's drawn correctly. 7.5, and this should be 10 across. And it is correct. So we're going to go back to page setup here. And I'm going to modify it again. And this time here, I'm going to take a look at some stuff here and just make sure my settings are set up correctly. Now, first things first, I always look at the paper size, as sometimes that can be an issue. Just make sure I'm using the correct size A. It should say 8.5 by 11. Just make sure nothing kind of funny about it. And when you preview it, if you look now, it's fine. So my problem happened to be the paper that I was using had too much margin set up for it. So with this one here, it works fine. So you have to play around with those. Sometimes you have to pick a few different 8.5 by 11s. But just to let you know, this one is working fine. So I'm going to hit OK here. And that'll get me all set up. And if you notice, I'm now perfectly centered in there, just as it should. Now from here, we have to modify this title block. And if I double click on the text, it pulls up the block editor. So it ain't going to let me modify it. Now I can edit the text in the block editor if I want. But we're going to just explode this block. So the explode button is right here. Click explode, click the block, and hit enter. And then from here, you can change it to whatever you want just by double click editing it. So, smiley face. Again, spell check, always a good thing. Uppercase, always good to have all caps lock on. For this one here, I'm going to call it Smile 123. And this will be drawn by Fearless Leader. And the date is going to be 9/28/17. Sometimes I like to put the 09 there. And then the scale is just going to be 1:1. And then from here, I would go to File Plot. Again, I always like to hit Preview. It just shows me that I'm not wasting my paper. And then I'll hit OK and save it somewhere. There we go. And there is my lovely smiley face drawing. And that's all there really is to setting up your page to be able to print in layout space. Again, if you liked the video, make sure you subscribe. If any comments, leave them below. Also, if you'd like to see any other types of videos on different things when it has to do with Civil 3D or AutoCAD, let me know and I'd be happy to make some videos. Just tell me what you guys want and I'll make sure I do it. This one is by request of a student. So, alright. See you later.